Let's, for the sake of conversation, pretend that Genesis and the story of Garden of Eden is real. In one way or another, right? So here's the story. There's a God. It means the supreme architect that creates a paradisical world, creates a man, creates a woman. He says, listen, this is paradise. And the paradise depends on one thing. Follow the rule. The rule. We can translate this as follow dharma. That means the way of things. And you two are the caretakers of this paradise. Yeah? So for whatever reason, that woman decided to listen to the serpent and break the one rule. That's on her. Then she goes sees the idiot, and the idiot says, okay. So they both break the rule, and they both fail at their dharmic, godly duty. So now he can be upset at her. If he could have said no. And she upset at him, she said, because he didn't have a firm grasp on his manhood, so that she wouldn't be tempted to go see that snaky snake. Because if he were a man, she wouldn't go hang out with that like slivery thing, right? So what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, both the man and the woman, the man failed as a man and the woman failed as a woman. That ain't got nothing to do with one another. It does, but it doesn't. It's like the left. I'm trying to clap, and my left hand is broken. What does that have to do with the right hand? So the right hand is saying, I can't clap because this idiot is broken. So it'll go like this. Right? And then the right hand is broken. So in this case, we have both hands are broken and nobody can clap. So they both fail. And nobody wants to look at their own individual failure. The man doesn't want to look at his failure because that requires, listen, you see, I took the Genesis story and I kind of twisted it around or adjusted it so that it represents or expresses something that I believe is more understandable or universal. Right? Dharma means the way. For the Chinese, it's called the Tao. It's the way. That means the way is designed. So that means the way it's designed, there's rules. It's not mental rules. It's not rules invented by a dude. It's natural rules. When you don't follow those natural rules, you add a tune. When you add a tune, well, it fucking makes noise and fucking hurts everybody. Ain't that real? Ain't that fucking violinist? You add a tune, shut the fuck up, dude. No? Wonderful. So, the Garden of Eden, this paradisical place, relied and it was established on dharma. That means the way it's designed. And the man and woman were there as, I don't want to say the gatekeepers, but the ones who are holding it down, the pillars of this paradisical place. And this guy failed, and she failed. They both failed. Now this one wants to blame this one, and this one wants to blame whoever she wants to blame. It's irrelevant. Who the fuck cares what they're both saying to one another or not saying to one another? They both failed. You as a man failed. The descendants of Adam failed. And the descendants of Eve / Lilith / who the fuck ever you want to believe in failed. Everybody failed. The result is the world we live in today. So what's the point of staying at the surface and complaining and whining and bitching after one another? Because it's a lie. Here's the fact. You failed. As a man, you fail, and your failure is independent of hers. It's interconnected, but independent. It's like an H. But you could be your own thing, and there's an own thing, and there's like a thing in the middle. Yeah? But that thing's still holding its own pillar. You failed. She failed. That's the truth. But that's the profound truth. And what's at the foundation? Dharma. Dharma means the way. Well, what is the way? It's so far gone, nobody fucking knows. All you got is books talking about it. And books aren't the way. With all due respect to your books, the book ain't the way. I promise you that. Because writing books is new. The way was there before the books. The way was there before people knew how to talk. The way was there before people knew how to think. The book was there. The way was always there, but always there. It's fundamentally there. It's the foundation. It's the foundational sound at the base of everything. It ain't got nothing to do with intellect. A monkey's following the way. That's a dumbass creature. It's dumb. It's a monkey. You don't think like you do. You don't write books. He doesn't wonder about the purpose of existence. So that way has always been there. It's the fundamental essence of everything. It's only when you take this in consideration that everything becomes very clear. And it says so in the Bible, with all due respect. Now, I'm bringing a simple interpretation to it, but it's pretty obvious. Now, you want to look at it from rigid ways because you're rigid and you have an anal constriction. Chill out, put your finger up your ass, put some ghee, relax. You'll feel better, you'll understand it very clearly. Your mind will just like dissipate its fucking gas, excess gas. You'll be like, oh yes, so it's a garden, it's a perfect place, everything's smooth, lions don't eat sheep, they all eat grass, right? Everything's non-violent, in other words, there's harmony. And there's one rule, don't eat from this tree. Like, you want to like go deep into like the cult of it, what is that tree? Let's not bother. Because we've already covered this before in different ways and we can do this endlessly. The point is, this is paradise place and there's a law. So that's the law. We can say the law of God. What's the law of God? It's the way. Dharma. That means that's how it's designed. It's the basic soundtrack. That's the sound on which everything is riding. Now, for whatever reason, that idiot and that bitch decided to not respect the sound. So they got off the tune. Everything that we know today, we are the descendants of Adam and Eve. We are the descendants of this out of tuneness. And every passing day, the out of tuneness is increasing, which requires more and more technology to be able to compensate for the fact that we're so fucking out of tune. The point is, because this is not the point of the conversation, the point of the conversation is, well, intelligent, mature people, this is not complicated to understand. Everybody can understand this today. Well, what's the issue? Well, the man ain't fulfilling his function in regards to dharma, and the woman ain't fulfilling her function in regards to dharma. Now, the woman's function, and I'm not getting into this conversation, but I'm going to slide in. The woman's function in regards to dharma may be 100% connected to the man. And vice versa or not vice versa, irrelevant. They're connected. It's like a triangle. They're connected to one another through dharma. Of course, the woman's function is not the same as the man's function because she's a woman. And the man's function is not the same as the woman because he's a man. That's pretty easy to grasp. And obviously the man has a certain kind of capacity. And it's obviously the woman has another capacity. And whatever the case is, his capacity is not developed and her capacity is not developed. And well, that's the outcome is what? This fucking madness that we live in, that we call home. So, well, I don't hear people talk about this. Why? Because that takes us to the root of our human experience, and people are not willing to open this book, which is the human body. I'm just like trying to weave things together. People don't want to deal with this shit. Anyways, you see? Let's just talk this straight. People don't want to deal with this shit. Why? They're scared. Yeah, what I'm saying had nothing to do with religion. When I say the word dharma, some people say this is an Eastern concept. No, it's not an Eastern concept. It's an Eastern word. I'll give you that. Fine. Dharma existed before the word dharma. Before the things Sanskrit. Before fucking Taoists. It has nothing to do with language. It's the basic soundtrack at the base of everything. What are you talking about? It ain't got nothing to do with Indians. It's just the best word. If you find a better word, the will of God is how the Christians will call it. W-I-L. Or the word. Fine. But when I say that, it's going to like pop up all kinds of the logo, St. E. Michael Jones. Oh, you can't talk in this day and age, man. Oh, it's so exhausting. I'm exhausting talking to you, and you're not even here. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Now, this is how mature individuals operate. Stop fucking yelling at one another. This is a failure. That's my take on it. That's what I've gone through. And what reflected my failure, of course, is her. But first I had to have a macro vision of life. Because you're so stuck, obsessed with Americana and name, fame, and glory, that you lose sense of, you know how small that is, name, fame, and glory? You know how petite it is? I don't want to minimize people who spend their whole lives putting a ball in a basket because they're awesome. God bless you. But you understand how small that is compared to creation? So everybody's so like in the small and the micro and the microscopic. You don't even talk about food. You talk about invisible molecules you ain't never seen. This is the world we live in. Talk about a virus. Let's not get into that one. Next channel, we talk about that. You understand what I'm trying to say? So when you zoom out a little bit and you start to perceive life with a little bit of maturity, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, there's obviously an intelligence flowing. Now, I don't know when it starts, and I don't know when it ends, but it's pretty fucking obvious. It's everywhere around you. Well, look at the sky, how it moves. Well, science says that's because you're an idiot. That's what science makes you do. Science has decided to put itself, you know when you put sunglasses? You put your sunglasses and you don't see the actual reality. You have this like veil in front of you. That's what science, the arrogant fucks, decided to do, which was not its original intent, right? It decided to put itself so that you don't see reality anymore and it becomes a reality. It's not reality. It's fucking blabbering. I don't need to understand how a molecule moves and transforms itself to become something else to perceive reality. It's right in front of me. I don't need science as the intermediary between me and God and life. So science has just placed itself there, and then you're dumb and stupid, and every time we talk, you think they understand it. They don't understand fuck all. They're dumb as fuck. They live in a fantasy world, in a model and a concept. Back to what I was saying. So when you get your head out of your just like the smallness of things, and you kind of look around you, you start to kind of perceive it. And then you understand that the ancient people kind of spoke about stuff like this. Not kind of, they did. Which says what? There's an intelligence. Well, how come I ain't connected to that intelligence? And the only way I'm connected to it is if I read it in a book and then I try to apply it mentally? That's kind of weird. Don't you find? And then you're going to fight who applies it better? No, that's not exactly what that meant. And then they break it down in 18 chapters to explain what this is rule 1 and what it means. And then we're going to fight about which, no, but I disagree about point 18. I don't know. No. This is what you fucking geeks do. This is what intellectuals do. Just ruin everything because you ain't connected. You ain't feeling it. You ain't connected to it for real. So the point of what I was trying to say is that when you perceive this, it's pretty obvious. So what brings us together? Obviously, it's that fundamental sound wave, if you'd like. That fundamental soundtrack, that fundamental note. It says so in the Bible. I'm just saying it in my way. And now me and her, obviously we have a fucking relationship. Now if we could only make me not a man and not her a woman, then we'd solve that problem forever. I think it's a great option. Shout out to you guys who want to remove gender, because then we're free from the problem. No more her and no more me, no more she and no more he. We're free. That's not bad. That's lovely. Shout out to you. So all you got to do is look at her and you see. So in my case, and it's the case for everybody nowadays, I think that's why I think it's a lovely place to enter a conversation such as this. Well, when I'm with her, what do I feel? Something ain't working. When I follow the script of what manhood is presented to me, no matter what I do, no matter how I accomplish, when I'm in her presence, if I'm a little bit attentive, not to her blabber and not to her gestures on the outside, she don't respect me. You're just not honest. If you were honest, then you'd see, well, how come? Like I'm doing all the things that are required to achieve respect as to what Joe Rogan said. I take my dip in the ice cold. I go to the gym. I'm getting my money. I'm working hard, building my network. Right? Aren't you doing all those things? And here she is, she uninterested in you. If it's good for her, she'll use you, but you know deep down she's not, which is not the point of the conversation. So if you're sensitive and you're perceptive to this, you see, there's something wrong. Why? Well, I'm telling you, because you're not connected to the game. You're here to serve dharma. It says so in the fucking Bible. You have no idea what I'm talking about. So whatever it is that you're doing is small. Whatever accomplishments, no matter how amazing they are, I built the Eiffel Tower. Who the fuck cares? The fucking Eiffel Tower. It's What's its purpose? It's amazing accomplishment of architecture genius. Who the fuck cares, dude? Who the fuck cares? Have you ever seen those zombie movies or I don't know what, which is like in like a dystopian future? It's always there, broken. that's what it is. It's broken. Like whatever. That's short-lived. I ain't got nothing against any architectural whatever you want to do. The point is, who cares? It has no meaning. That's what I'm trying to say. So whatever it is that you're connected to is small. But imagine that you're sitting next, that woman is the daughter of God. For the sake of conversation, right? Just because I know some of you don't, when we speak with these words, you get nervous. But let's pretend this is the daughter of God. That means her daddy is God. And then you come in with your little dick. And in her, what does she aspire to? Like I told you before, she aspires to be the greatest creatrix possible, the supreme goddess, which has many names in different traditions. That's what her womb aspires to. It's plugged into that anyways. And here you are with your little cock. Hey, look, I went to the gym, Mom. Did you see my six-pack? Look at the new shirt I got. I got it on special. That's amazing. Wow, I feel so inspired. I feel like challenged. It awakens in me my feminine essence, and my feminine essence in your presence wants to become cosmically supreme. Yeah. Right, so all that cosmicness is there, buried inside, stuck like that. And whatever it is that she's going to participate to give birth to, because she has no idea what's going on, mostly, it's all small. What is she doing? Participating in like what? So we saved a bunch of giraffes. It's great, love giraffes. God bless the giraffes. We saved a bunch of giraffes. So God put me on earth to save giraffes in the zoo. And in a year or two, we'll be able to grow our own giraffes in a lab. And they can be pink, the pink giraffe. Do you understand? So what was the point of saving giraffes if you can grow them in a laboratory and choose the color you want? You can even make it short like this. Why not? Do you understand? That's why I love technology, man. It makes everything that you think is important obsolete. Right? You fuckers with your chat GPT or whatever it is. What you gonna do now? What's special about you? Fucking Google does it better than you. Prick. Side note closed. All this to say. So that's called an intelligent conversation. And when she in the presence of you, how does she feel? Dirty. Incompetent, small, infertile, incapable. You have to say a word, nor be a judgmental prick. This is how she really feels at the womb level. Because as a man, even though you're a broken man, there's still something of you that's still connected to the dharmic ways. And then you go next to her, and even though you're unconscious and you're a total moron, and you have no sense of anything, your nature is to birth God. God in biology and the empire of God, the empire of dharma. That's what you do. And here you are with your, right? And she's like, I can't give birth to fuck all. I can't even take a fucking shit. I have like menstrual cramps for like 18 days out of the month. I don't know about giving birth to anything. So, generally, what is a woman going to do? She's going to just divert her attention, go put her attention somewhere else, find a cause to get upset with and just, have strong emotions and just like vent her emotional toxins. But the root of the problem hasn't been resolved, and that's her issue. Yeah, you ain't a woman. As per dharmic, right? And a man ain't a man. So it's on the man and it's on the woman. Now, if you can't understand that, you as a man, you as a woman listening, if you can't understand that, so I don't know what kind of relationships you want to have, but whatever it is, you're always going to have a hard time because it's not connected. What's the point? We're going to find love. That's not where love is to be found, my friends. Love is to be found in the flow. And then when we come together, we experience the love of the flow in our interaction. It's the flow. I don't know why y'all don't want to. So that's what I had to say about that. So thank you for humoring me and listening to my story. Outside of such a concept, so I just use certain analogies. You could use other ones, that whatever works for you. But outside of a greater perspective, what are you going to have? A mess. So that's what I'm trying to do to the best of my capacity, like trying to zoom in, zoom out, look in, look out, like look. And yeah, so like we live in a metaverse, and why shouldn't the woman who's technically not a woman, she's disconnected from her womb and lives in the mind like everybody else, and the mind is the place where people escape because they can't deal with the trauma of everyday life. So now the metaverse, which is society to start, and the computerized version is saying, hey, come with your mind and project it here and live out that fantasy in reality. And in a minute, you can live it into the metaverse, which is going to be economic, faster, efficient. You're going to have it 100% for sure, and it's not going to create any pollution. So everybody's trying to escape reality via their fucking minds. Modernity and modern society is saying, come and project it here and make it real. And a woman wants to say, well, I want to play there too, because all I want to do is escape myself. Why not? So everybody's running away. And the meeting point of running away is this fucking mess called modern society. And this ain't no fucking knock on modern society. I don't care. It's doing what it's got to do. So this is where we meet. A thief and a thiever. A stealer and a stealer. Two people just trying to like con each other and competing. Who's going to be the most important? In the fucking video game. Don't you get it? It's a video game. That means somebody runs it. No matter what, everybody loses. That's the end of the line. And if you can't see that, you're blind. Everybody loses. So anyways, you can see clearly where the future is going. It's just more of that. And as I've said before, there's an alternative. You don't have to fight against the system. The system can't prevent dharma from existing. And when you tune yourself and you flow properly on what is, there's always a door, an opportunity to discover an alternative. And the alternative isn't separate. It is literally merged in. It's not another life over there that doesn't talk to that life. No, it's one. In today's modern age, unless you're philosophically inclined, dharma and all this stuff, these big concepts, now it's kind of popular. You don't really know what I'm talking about. But what you do know is that as a man, you have an issue with women, and what you do know is that as a woman, you have an issue with the man. And I told you, it's a triangle. Well, why you got an issue? Because something's missing. And what's missing? The purpose. What ties us together? And don't say biology, because look, the machine world is taking over, and you don't need one another. You have to accept that reality. You once upon a time you could have said biology, but biology was trumped by nature, meaning they're gonna grow children in a laboratory. So that means there's got to be something greater than just fucking and reproducing that brings you together, and you can't find the answer. So you're trying to revert back to the past where biology obliged you to have a relationship with one another, pretending that was amazing, when you should just ask your ancestors and they will tell you, it wasn't amazing. There was some kind of coherence, but it was just by default. We've covered this before. So what is it when I'm confronted to the woman and I'm dealing with all this, and she's dealing with me, and she's dealing with all this awe. Well, what any intelligent person has to ask the question, what the fuck is going on? What's the point of our relationship? We don't have to interact with one another, but what does life become when we don't interact with one another? Well, a technological universe where I have endless amounts of pleasure. Great, enjoy. Does it work? No. I never say don't do. Do. Does it work? No. So if it doesn't work, you got to stop now and say, well, what's missing? Something's missing. It's not that we're not living in the prairies and having children. That's not what's missing. What's missing is, what's the purpose? What's the meaning? What's the meaning of my life? And we're talking about human beings. I'm not talking about a philosophical concept or a spirituality disconnected from your fucking body and nature. The point of life is to ascend towards God. I don't buy into this bullshit. I understand it. Listen, dude, I'm a human being. So if you believe in God, God put you in a human form. There's a reason why you're in a human form, so you should respect the human form to begin. If you aspire to discover the secrets of God. This is my humble take on that. Some people just want to dismiss this and they go into fantasies and they have like concepts of God and they try to project themselves in their own personal spiritual metaverse. I don't buy this. I think it's a nonsense. That's my personal take on this. It starts with, well, what do we do? Something's missing. What brings us together? And that's why I say, I keep repeating myself. It brings you to the essence. What is a human being? What are we here for? And then, what do you do and what does she do? Because it's inseparable. And these powers are operating and have been operating, will continue to operate. They're just now occulted. That means hidden, or you're unconscious. So now to rediscover those powers and how they have been and are being utilized by forces that you have no control over, and to what ends, so that you can reclaim your power. So I said this in previous videos. Let's pretend that you're an alien coming to Earth and you want to take over. What you going to do? You're going to hijack the relationship between the man and woman because they are the sexual, the dynamo that makes everything happen. You're going to separate them and you're going to utilize that polarity and redirect it towards wherever you want. So let's say that you do that. These two idiots are slaves for 2,000 years. They have no idea of their power. They have no idea that their dynamism between them has created their own prison. They have no fucking clue because they've been brainwashed for 2,000 years to hate each other and hate themselves and hate their nature and hate their bodies and hate everything. So they're lost in their personal mental metaverse. So the first part is to start to realize, hey, maybe that's not really my enemy. And then, well, what's my power and what's his power? And oh my God, how's that power being used? Oh, that's how you start to discover your power. Oh, because the power never disappears. It's just being used, it's subverted elsewhere. Oh, that's how my power is being used. I have some friends, they're girls, and we go through all kinds of stories together. And sometimes shit happens, right? There's explosions of energies. And then I want to try to say, you see what just happened? And generally people are very upset. They don't want to take responsibility for what happens. Me, I don't care what happened. It's a game. Like we're in a laboratory, we mixed this and this and poof, it didn't work out. So what I try to highlight to her is like, well, look at, that's your power. Look at what it created. Not shame on you. No, look at what it created. Now, it's a drama movie because it wasn't aligned. But still look at all you created. So imagine if it was aligned, that means you have the capacity to birth that scene. That's what you did. Except now it's in the quote unquote negative, meaning it's unconscious. So that means it was hacked, it was being used by something else. But nevertheless, that's your power. So that's the process. As you start to rediscover your own power, man, woman, and the dynamic between, you start to see how these forces are being used by certain agencies to create their world, in which you, the slave, which we've spoken about ad nauseum, you're in the zoo. But let's not get into that. The point is, that's the perfect entry door to a genuine spirituality in this modern age. Well, we have a problem. As a man, I have a problem. Unless I enjoy all this empty pleasure. If you don't, you had a problem. Because your life has no meaning. You have everything you want. You understand? Do you understand that in a couple of years, let's pretend the world doesn't go insane completely, absolutely, right? And you can go into the metaverse. You don't have to be rich anymore to have a Lamborghini. You don't have to be rich to go to Paris. You can go all in the metaverse. You don't have to be rich to go to fucking Jupiter. You don't have to go, you know, that element potentially could be removed because who knows what the metaverse providers are going to create and how they're going to try to fuck you over. But let's pretend, technologically, you can just have access to all of it instantly, independently of money. So you can have all the pleasures you've ever wanted. I want to have an orgy with 252 girls of all the ethnicities of the world. Now. So then what? Well, I'm not satisfied. Great. What you going to do now? That's what I told you before. I keep repeating myself. So if you have now endless amounts of pleasure accessible to you and you're bored out of your brains, then what else is left? You have to her. That's it. and for her, you, the man. That's what's left. Ain't it funny? This expression, some of you will know. I would rather, if you were the last person on earth, I wouldn't want to have sex with you. That's the last person on earth now. And you're so bored that you're like, well, I guess there ain't nothing left to do. I'm bored out of my mind with all these empty pleasures. And then when you, as a man, interact with her, and when you, as a woman, interact with him, what does it confront you with? Everything I'm talking about. All this dimension I'm talking about. All the way to the dharma, even if you don't understand what it is, which is a living pulsation, a life rhythm. It's in the relationship. Because the man and the woman do not exist outside of nature. They're the primary agents. So when they come together, it's dharma. It's just fucked up dharma. It's literally the basic, that's a basic link. It's this. That's why it created the man and the woman. So when you hang out with one another, you realize to what extent the relationship is compromised, and it also shows you how far you are from the nature of reality, which is supposed to be expressed in your dance. Right, let's just go jack off. Let's do it. Bring some tits, man. What gets interesting is that the woman decided to break the rule by taking in the serpent's intent and laws. That's how the story goes. So she became impure. And also she told the guy, and the guy couldn't hold down dharma. So he followed her. So obviously if that's what happened, because that's what had to happen. But what does that highlight? Where the woman was impure, or had the capacity to choose impurity, and the man was weak and couldn't hold it down. But we can also, she can also say, yeah, but I chose impurity because he was weak. So obviously I'm going to go there. So now it highlights her nature. She's looking for power, and that version of Adam was a weakling. He wasn't a man in himself. He was a boy. So that's why she went with the serpent. So we can say that this whole story is so that human beings, man and woman, unfold unto themselves in their totality. Because it's obviously, if this is the way God designed it, I'm just using this as a map to communicate deeper esoteric secrets, right? So obviously God created this way. He knew that the bitch would go with the snake. Why? Because it's the nature of the woman to want to be connected to power. And now the God gave her this simp, this Adam, who ain't got no power. He's not a man, he's a boy. So it comes the snake and says, listen, we could do a lot of things together, baby. Fuck this. So she can't help herself. So that gives you a sense of her inclinations. She's going to go towards what's powerful. So can you blame her? No. So she's like, well, what do you want? It's my nature. So instead of being upset at her, then you have to understand her nature. So yeah, but if Adam was holding down dharma, that means if he was a full man, well, she would never ever gone with the snake, because the dharmic man is more powerful than the snake. Now look at this. I'm going to finalize this. So we had the boy and the girl in the garden, and the snake come. So the girl now becomes impure because of the snake, and brings along the little boy, and they go on that journey of adharma, self-destruction, the way of destruction, right? And now the healing means what? You need to integrate all that journey. So the dharmic man has the snake within himself, because obviously God made Adam not a man. So he couldn't hold down the dharma anyways. He was a boy. So the journey, it must come to pass in order to come to the fruition of the real man and the real woman. And he had to go, so she's the catalyst for the whole story. She's literally birthing the fucking story. Otherwise, we're in the Garden of Eden, everything's perfect, ain't nothing happening. She's birthing the fucking drama of life. That's the mother. She's birthing that drama in which, if you understand the nature of the game, you have now the opportunity to become the full man, which means you're holding down dharma with a big fucking dick. So guess what? When she gonna see you, she gonna bow. Because you're the God. And the God, obviously, he's got a big ass fucking dick. If you think God ain't got a dick, I don't know what kind of God you have, but I would re-question your God. Because if he ain't got a dick, he's going to get fucked by the God with a dick. That's a lot of dicks, man. What up, dick? Shout out to all the dicks out there. I don't know if you understood this, but this is key. It's lovely. It's very fun. And it also shows you. Because what do we have in certain religious groups? They're very upset at the woman because she's stupid and she's a hoe and she went with the snake. And it's because she's a vile and she's a devil. It's her nature to go towards the power. And what was our alternative? This dude is not a man. He can't allow me to unfold into my womanhood. The snake is going to use me to create a world. There ain't nothing to do here. And it also shows you the weakness of the man. Because the bitch came and says, listen, come here, you little prick. You're going to work for me, and this is going to be the master, the serpent. And the little prick just followed. And this is exactly where we are in time. The little prick is following the woman, who's pretending to be dumb, following the dictates of an intellect and a mind, which we can call the Luciferian mind, that very few people will understand what I'm talking about, unless you make it into like a fucking devil with horns. And that's not what I'm talking about. And that's the direction we're going, the way of destruction. And way of destruction means much more than just the words that I'm using. It means just the stories unfolding. Unfoldment of God, if you'd like. So how do we revert? Not by going back to the Garden of Eden, by integrating. The man has to wake up and understand, oh, what's going on? Shit, I'm a slave. And she in charge. But she's not in charge. She's following that thing. Because it's the nature of a woman to follow. But you're not a leader because you don't have any power. So that's why she's not following you. So where the hell are you going to get your power? From the serpent? You can't. She's here. You're here. No, you have another agency that you're supposed to plug into, which is dharma, which is now going to empower you so that you can be a leader. And you're not going to lead her by forcing her. You're going to be a leader by providing what he can't provide, which is everything. Because the serpent can't provide harmony. It's not in his nature. He can provide a fake harmony. Only God, aka dharma, can provide harmony because dharma is harmony. And the very nature of the snake is adharma, no harmony. But no harmony harmonizes itself. It's paradoxical. With total control. So it's total chaos, but it's held. Which is exactly what you see the world doing. That's what technology is about. Let's control everything so that we can control the absolute chaos. Because everything's going to explode. So let's just control everything. Every aspect of everything that we can, let's control it to prevent the reality to emerge that it's a goddamn fucking mess and it's going to explode. Listen, the first process of healing is you have to accept the reality. I am a slave. I'm a bitch. That's not bad on you. Nobody taught you anything better, but you wouldn't be able to live with yourself. You have to live in a dream that you're the man, and that's exactly what the Luciferian mind offers you: the fantasy that you are the man. But if you do a little bit of analysis, this is pretty straightforward. What I'm saying, it's profound, but it's straightforward. You're a bitch. She in charge. Well, how else could we be living in a world where you are being removed and rendered obsolete and you are the source of all problems on earth is you? How can that happen? Because you built that world. And that world is reflecting the underlying occult reality that she's on top of you and she's serving a mind. She doesn't need to understand. She's an agency of it. And that mind wants to take form. If you don't understand that, it's because you don't want to see it and it scares you, and that's on you. That's not an excuse. You can go back to the gym and take your cold baths and do your fucking pranayamas. I don't care. These are simple things that's in front of you to see. You just don't want to look a little deeper. You want to stay at the surface and complain. She's on fucking OnlyFans. Who cares? She's on OnlyFans. Who fucking cares? That's your concern. A mother and daughter. The mother is promoting the daughter on OnlyFans. Why not? She can make $100,000 a month. She got a nice ass. What the fuck not? She gonna sell it anyways. Why are you upset? I don't get it. Because that's not proper. Says who? Hang out with you is proper? Sometimes I wonder, the arrogance, the pompousness, hang out with you is proper? If I was her, I'd rather be on OnlyFans than deal with you. You prick, you're a loser. You stink, you have bad breath. You have no personality. You're a copy of all the other men that you see on fucking YouTube, all watching the same fucking videos. If it's no fap is in fashion, it's no fap, 100 push-ups every day, cold bath, you're all the fucking same person. Get the fuck out of here. Get me upset. It's ridiculous. People got to do what they got to do to survive. Now, we understand each other. Let's be straight. Yeah, that's horism. What's your point? So the first part of healing, as everybody's heard before, is you have to accept the truth. I'm a slave. She in charge. Y'all just can't come to terms with that because the illusion of your manhood is so great and thick. And that's why you're idiots. That's why since the fucking onset of this channel, I'm saying you're a moron. You have no fucking idea who she is. You have no respect. The fact that you have no respect is that shows how stupid you are. That you can't figure out that she's in charge shows to which extent you're a moron and you're deluded. Because you can go buy a car in the metaverse. Because you can walk with a suit and fancy shoes and you got muscles. What does that have to do with anything? You can't come to terms with the fact that this little feeble creature outsmarted you in every way, shape, or form. Impossible. Of course, because she is the queen of an agency. What's your power? You don't have it. Only the fantasized God you've invented in your fantasies. Women they live in fantasy, but they connect to real things. When you complain that a woman, let's say she's stolen by another tribe and she becomes submissive to the new tribe, that's because that's the nature of the woman. The woman always submit itself to what's more powerful. You can just live in a concept. You're a moron. So while you're living in a concept of a deity, she's actually serving an actual power, and you the bitch. And it says so in the book. It's the first fucking page, man. Maybe not the first page, but almost. Y'all just don't understand this. What can I say? What am I supposed to say? That's why I insult you. Very disappointing. You can't come to terms with this. You have to. If you're interested in healing, you need to come to terms with that. And then if at least it dawns a little bit on you, then maybe you're going to realize to which extent you fucking detest her. Like you hate your own fucking mother. Because you have no power and she has total control over you. And you're a man, you're like a bear, a lion, some kind of creature, and this woman just controls you. Controls your thoughts. She's everywhere. She's like invasive. She's always there. Your mother just there, just like squeezing you, and you're just trying to just leave me alone. I want to breathe. No, she has total control, and that woman is doing the same to you. You just have no idea about it. I told you before, you don't want to see that, that's on you. Once you start to realize that, because you're honest with yourself a little bit, some of you will be honest with yourself, shout out to you, then you're going to realize, I fucking hate her. I fucking hate her. I detest her. I want to destroy her. So I can be in charge. So I can be in a position of power. But I don't think you're going to have the guts to do that, and people are scared. And the modern world, of course, is not there to facilitate such truths, because that would make you a misogynist, a horrible man, a beater, all those things. You're going to be like a demon. But nevertheless, with yourself in your own silence. You know exactly what I'm trying to say, if you're honest with yourself. And that's where the game starts. So what you're going to do? I'm going to try to like take over. You can't. I'm trying to conquer her. You can't. Not like that. It's not going to work. Do you understand? Because she's an agent of something smarter and greater and more powerful than you at this point. So how do you beat that? She will always be subservient to the greater power. That's the very nature of a woman. You know that. This is a known thing in the manosphere. Everybody knows that. She's hypergamy. She's going to go with the bigger dick. There's something that's got a bigger dick than you. Ain't nothing that you going to do that's going to have more power than that Luciferian mind, which is the God of this fucking world, is set so in the Bible. It's the God of this world. All of you worship it in one way or another. If you're a servant, if you're a slave of the metaverse, if your whole value and identity is the metaverse, that's who the fuck? She birthed the metaverse in his fucking name and you built it. You just don't understand this shit. Wising up to the games, guys. Wake up, man. So there's no way you can beat her like that. You need to go now find another source of power. And that source of power has to be greater and provide her something that power cannot provide. And I told you that's called harmony. That Luciferian mind cannot offer the woman harmony. Because at the end of the day, that Luciferian mind does not allow that woman to tap into her true, full creative possibility. It's limited. Even though it's fantastic, it's next to God. It's not God. It's got a limitation. So you as a man are supposed to be that. You're supposed to go tune yourself to that. So that now you can provide an alternative, and then you let her choose. The choice is going to be easy. That's the very thing you complain about all the time, that she's going to go to the bigger dick. Well, if you got a bigger dick, she's going to come to you. You don't have to even try. She can't help herself. It's her nature. Then you're going to have to create a bunch of other systems to help her as she detoxes from this shit. And she rediscovers her power once it's realigned. Because it's the same, but it's not the same. The factory is going to have to create a new substance. So it's going to need some fine tuning and upgrading, all right? I don't know if you understand. If you do, good for you. If you don't, yes, of course, because in God everything is there. Who made that snake? And did he not make that snake as a mechanism to fulfill his purpose? So quite obviously, this whole mechanism that we're speaking of, including the nature of the woman to go towards the snake, which can represent sexuality at the end of the day, the capacity to become as God, meaning to give birth to create consciously or unconsciously, but to give birth to, which in the Garden of Eden, there's no sex. Sex, there's no need to sex, there's nothing that dies, and there's nothing to create. Everything is still. So what's the point? So when you kind of like see it from a bigger perspective, you see how all these elements is like a big, great play to allow for God to unfold in time. That's one angle. I've discussed the different angles before. But I love this. It works very well for what we're trying to point. It's lovely. I think it's a fantastic. And it also shows, like, listen, dude. In order to be able to top that Luciferian God that is her man right now, you need to become the God. And how do you become the God? By being like Thor? By running a triathlon? That's not godhood. That's nothing. That means because you're a man, you're always going to be limited. You need to discover what is the actual power of the man. And that is the capacity to tune yourself with that dharma power that makes you a God man. A God man isn't a super fucking hero like you imagine, like in those fucking stupid Marvel movies. It's your nature as a man. I can tune myself to the living, pulsating rhythm of life and serve it. So the Muslims are going to say Abdullah. As I said before, some will say that Abd means slave. I would say servant, the servant of Allah. Why? Because that's the power. That's what I can be. That's the best position I can ever be. The servant of the Supreme. Hence, if I'm the servant of the Supreme, I'm the Supreme. Not exactly, but I'm his best friend. We're like this. I'm an agent of the Supreme. The Supreme is passing through me. I'm a conduit of the Supreme. Wonderful. So then when you go hang out with her, what's going to happen, you think? And if you think the Supreme is also the one who's created that snake, it's in it also. So that means the Supreme has got a dick. That's why people are scared of sex and they want to talk about spirituality. There's no sex. What are you talking about? The whole creation is sexual dance. What are you talking about? People are terrified of sexuality. They need their spirituality to be removed from sexuality because they want sex to go away. That means the nature of reality, at least the nature of creation. They want that to go away and they want to live in a concept of purity. What's impure about dick? I don't understand. If today we see corruption, that's because everything's upside down. Right? That's not sexuality that's upside. It's not sexuality that's bad. It's that the game's upside down. Set it straight. How do you set it straight? You got to tune the instrument. So you the man, tune your instrument. To what? How do you tune your instrument? You got to have something that a point of reference. Dharma is the point of reference. And Dharma ain't in the fucking book, with all due respect to that book. The book may point to Dharma. The book may try to the best of its capacity to explain Dharma. The book may try to the best of its capacity to analyze Dharma, because you know how people are. They like to write shit because it's fun to write shit, because what else is there to do? Let's write about what's unwritable. I've done it. I failed and succeeded. The book is supposed to tell you that there's an underlying principle at the base of creation, and it's your job to tune yourself to it. Now you become a full man, or you're on the path of being a full man. That's in my book, that's where the journey of manhood begins. And then your relationship with her is going to totally shift. Because the elements are in their right place. The system is not what gives you value. Being Abdullah gives you value. Meaning a servant of Dharma is what that gives you value. It's the power of life itself, the pulsating rhythm of life circulating in you that makes you feel good, that gives you rhythm and flow, that gives you a direction, that gives you a purpose, that nourishes you, sustains you, directs you, loves you, takes care of you. And it's in that space, in that connection, that you're like, hey, what you doing? We have work to do. We got to build shit. She the builder. She the creatrix. She the one that births everything. Come on here, man. We have work to do. We got to build an empire. Of course you're going to have full reverence for her. How could you not? Without her, God will never express himself fully. It will only just be a potential. She gets to materialize that potential. Without her, it never appears. Isn't that supreme? Invisible, visible. Invisible, visible. That's one thing. The unmanifested that manifests. Anyways, thanks for listening. I hope this entertained you. God bless you.